Hi everyone, today let's take a closer look at Microsoft. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So Microsoft cloud growth accelerates once again on the back of the AI push, and Microsoft announced a really strong earnings, but the guidance was a little bit weaker than expected. And you can see it here, earnings beat by about 12 cents, revenues also beating by about $1 billion. Their total revenue grew by 17% year over year, which is strong growth for such a large company. Net income at almost $22 billion, so everything's still looking good. And we also saw Azure cloud growth up 21%, also more than the street expected. And then you can see here on their heat map for all of their different types of businesses, quarter over quarter, pretty much everything is still growing here, so definitely good. They saw some weakness middle of last year, but that seems to be subsiding now, and the company is back on that growth path. They didn't mention anything about why the company put out weak guidance, and I didn't see the weak guidance in this article, so definitely throw that down in the comment section if you saw it. But overall, this was a good earnings for Microsoft, and they were up a little bit on this announcement. Over to the chart, starting off with the monthly chart, there's really no trend lines that you can build here. It's been on a colossal run. You can see it went straight up here, sideways, and then we've been on this straight up move here recently. Did have a peak back in 2021, slight pullback to that 55 EMA almost on the monthly chart, didn't quite touch it, and then we've been on this most recent run. And moving over here to the weekly chart, you can see that same setup. Big move down here from the high in November of 21. Touched the 200 SMA in October of 22, had a double bottom, slightly higher low there, and then we started this most recent run. And now we're still in that structure, but we are right on the brink of potentially breaking down from that lowest trend line. We've been in the structure for a while. Momentum on the weekly chart is bearish, RSI breaking down. We did have a bullish week this week, 1.8% to the upside on that earnings. And you can see volume on that candle was pretty decent as well. We're above the 21, but below VWAP and the 9 EMA there. So pretty interesting to see. Definitely at a critical point. If it's going to hold, it needs to do it. We also have a level here at 394.22. And then I added two levels here, 413.36 and then 429.88. So that would be your all-time high level and then kind of a mid-level on this range right at VWAP. And then zooming in a little closer, you can see that same structure. You have kind of a left shoulder head, potentially right shoulder forming here. And if this structurally breaks down, that's going to be quite bearish. We still have to wait for these EMAs and SMAs to consolidate a little bit, in my opinion. Wait for this 144 to pull up here. 200 still taking a while. Those are going to be some zones of support. But once you consolidate for a while, EMAs and SMAs consolidate in that same area, and then you get that structural break. This could show a medium-term breakdown if that does happen. But right now, we're still hanging in there. You can see the gap down, gap up. So island reversal at support, and we are back above that trend line. So right now, you would expect this support to hold, push to 413.36, and then potentially back up to that 429 level. Also looking at momentum, you can see momentum swinging to bullish there. And let's look at the RSI here. You can see that breakdown, rally up, and then you can see the higher low setup here on VWAP, and it is pushing higher. And looking at the chart, you can see we actually got lower price action on that second dip low. So clear divergence there. And like I said, volume has been decent on those last couple of days. It does seem like we're going to get a bit of an upswing from there on the daily chart. To Microsoft on the Tasty charts, you can see this monthly chart, big move down, rally up, same move that we were looking at. You can see volume weighted MACD, we got a step down here in April. I'm aware April hasn't closed yet, but it seems likely that it's going to close in a bearish condition. So we had that dip low, got the change in momentum, rallied up, and it seems like that move is starting to conclude here. We're at that upper ATR band on the monthly chart, which is sitting at 420.78. In terms of structure, we haven't broken below that 8 EMA yet. That is all the way down at 384.98. And then taking a closer look here on the weekly chart, you can see that same structure rallying up, hitting that upper ATR band. You can see we've separated from the ATRs. They're still trending higher, but price is not going with it right now. You can also see bearish momentum here on the volume weighted MACD. So that's a little bit bearish as well. Below the 8 EMA, but still hanging in there on that 21 EMA, which is at 399.63. And then your ATR stop for the weekly chart is down at 372.49. So seems like we're probably going to pull back and test that support. We'll see what it looks like. But right now, weekly chart still bullish. And then once we get down to the daily chart and below, we're in bearish conditions. So you can see that dipped low, hit the lower ATR, hit that 144 EMA here on the daily chart at 387.39. Seems like the Tasty charts are a little bit bit more reliable when it comes to these EMAs and price responses. So 387.66 touched that level, gapped higher, and then you had earnings, but you can see we're in bearish conditions. You have the ATR stop sitting up here at 425.33. So this zone up here as resistance, and right now we're looking at a move lower, and we didn't have that low, higher low setup that we saw on the major indices, but right now this looks like it's going to get up and test that zone, and then we'll see if some sellers come in that area. And then looking at the 4-hour chart, this is why I think we're going to get into that zone. You can see the big move on earnings. This is just the last couple of days here since the beginning of April. Sideways choppy price action, dip low when everything else was moving lower, slight bounce, and you can see it was technically a lower low, hit that lower ATR band around that 389.70 area, and then we pushed through those ATR stops. So we got the bullish reversal of conditions. So right now it is technically bullish, but you're in the middle of the range waiting to see if this zone is going to hold and push back up to that upper ATR, which is at 422.51. So that would get you right into that same region of the weekly ATR resistance, and then we'll see what happens if we're going to take that level out and head to new highs, or if we're going to reject from that level and start to get into that medium-term downtrend or longer-term downtrend, potentially based on what we saw on the monthly chart. Moving over to the options chain, starting off with the weekly chart here, you can see pretty decent credits, around $4 or $5 for at the monies. That is about a 1% credit there on Microsoft. If you want to go out of the money about 2%, you can still get $1 or so, 93% chance of success. Remember, short-term bullish on Microsoft, so over the next week, I think you're probably in good shape to be selling some puts or potentially buying some calls. Call credits are still decently expensive unless you do think we're going to get to that 422 area, in which case you could buy these for about $4.50, and you can see your profit level here would be around that 412.50 area, and that's assuming that you hold till expiration. Obviously you wouldn't have to do that, so it does look okay as a potential opportunity. I tend to be an option seller here, so selling the puts. If you sold the at the monies, I would probably go down to maybe the 402.50s, still get a decent credit around $3, a little bit less than 1%. Then you're protected down to that 400 level. So if you do get a little bit more of a dip on that 4-hour chart, which is possible, you're still protected, and you could get into Microsoft at a little bit cheaper level. Still gives you a high percent chance of profit, 83% chance of being out of the money, and 87% chance of profit on that position. Obviously, Microsoft is a pretty expensive stock, so you do have to have the money to do that, but it seems like a decent return on investment. And like I said, the earnings was pretty strong. The guidance was weak, but not weak enough to sink the stock, in my opinion. What you think of Microsoft? Are you looking to get into this stock, or are you just holding it right now based on that more neutral earnings? Definitely let me know down in the comment section. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.